light between us. This is a podcast with no rules, no boundaries, and no expectations. It just is. These are unscripted conversations with those I have real relationships with. This is not an interview or informational podcast, but instead a podcast of witness to the living example of healing through relation, 2 by 2. This podcast is a space for us to meet fully in the present and to allow the miracles, love, and light to shine through. A reminder that we do not wake up alone. We remember the truth together, 2 by 2, as the light reveals itself in the space between us. Welcome back, friends. I am so excited for you to tune in today. This is episode 2 with my dear friend Julie, who has literally been mentioned probably in almost all of the podcasts, whether it was with Evelina, as Julie is a part of Lighthouse, with Cease or Joy, as those are amazing connections that Julie has brought forth, which is perfect because today's episode, Julie and I talk about some books that have been recently brought into awareness through Julie, but she also shares how they were brought into her awareness and how they fit so beautifully in this place of unwinding we both are in. And it is just so powerful and so just amazing when you really start to bring awareness and you really start to just see how intricately woven everything is, when you really start to witness and acknowledge it and to not only perceive it, but allow yourself to receive it and to allow yourself to really perceive it for what it is, which is something so much grander than any of us have control over. But Julie and I really dive deep into the discussion around joy and joining and connection, and how through connection we heal, and through our connections our opportunities of healing brought forth, and how many of our connections have brought so much joy or been such grand remembrances of joy, and how the layers, the more and more we unwind and peel back the layers, the more and more open we are to connections that don't necessarily meet all of our ego stories, don't necessarily align with the way we believe they should look, but we're just there for it. We're here for it. We're here for whatever comes forward, and we're not, blocking away things. And one of the books Julie brought forth, I share that there was massive discomfort when she brought it forth. And instead of just shutting it down and saying that discomfort is a sign I shouldn't look deeper, I knew that discomfort was actually the discomfort of stories coming to the surface. And I had the opportunity to either latch onto them or to continue to allow myself to be the witness and let what comes through come through. And that has just been such a beautiful unwinding around money. We talk a lot about money today, and the concept of giving is receiving, and healing 2 by 2, which is exactly what this podcast, is a living representation of, a witness to. But we talk about the ways in which we are healing 2 by 2 and the ways in which we are witnessing others heal 2 by 2. And then we also stray off into concepts around value, the value concept, and how you navigate that from a place of truth and understanding and guidance versus the stories of the ego, and how muddy that gets. And I even bring up, like Jesus, and how he never even seemed to need to navigate that, and he just followed the inspiration, and how that created a connection that I have with David Hoffmeister today. And it went against all the ego stories I had of him responding to a message I sent him on Messenger, and our continued conversations that we have. And I don't know, we just go into so many beautiful things today. It's an absolutely beautiful conversation, and I so hope that you are just in a place of openness to receiving today, and to not only receive, but to perceive the gifts that this conversation has within it. And not that it's anything special, but everything you interact with has opportunity to receive and perceive it for the miracle it is. Everything is either a miracle or nothing is a miracle. And so I invite you to enter into listening to Julie and I today, of a place of openness. And yeah, do all the things, like, subscribe, everything else. Post below. We asked some questions in here. I would love to hear your responses, including talking about a book club at the end. But we are just so grateful that you have found yourself here today and that we can share in this connection together. So here it is. I'm so excited. I feel like so much has happened. I mean, not feel like, I know so much has happened since the last time we pressed record. But I feel like one of the biggest things is the books you've been bringing forward. Oh. I don't know, like, because when we met last time and hit record, you hadn't brought forward the Soul of Money book yet, had you?
Oh, no. I was still in Florida. So I was in a mindset of, I probably wasn't reading as much and was getting ready to try to get my life organized to leave and come to Oxford. Yeah. So I think since then, I've been here now. January 13th was when I arrived. So it's been about, I think, 7 or 8 weeks-ish. I've been in school, so I'm back to reading, reading much more. And had more time of not dealing with logistical stuff because I've been here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, so the Soul of Money, like, that book, I think came forward in like one of our conversations. You just had this like remembrance. You're like, I think there was a book called The Soul of Money.
Yes, that's how it came up. I don't know what we were talking about specifically, but it was a book that I know I've heard about a couple of times. And I may have read like a intro or something, but I've never bought it, never jumped into it. And for whatever reason, I think maybe one of our Lighthouse calls, we were talking about money. And I was like, it just came back into my mind. I was like, I wonder if that book about the Soul of Money is something that would be kind of a next layer of understanding about the purpose of money. Because I think we've had many conversations about, we all get stuck in our own views of what money's supposed to be, or how much you're supposed to have, or how hard you're supposed to work. And I think it was on my mind in January too, because I was coming from staying at a friend's home in Florida where I wasn't paying rent, and I was coming back to Oxford, which is, it's not inexpensive. So
right.
It's a chunk of money for rent. And so my mind was in that space too. Like, whoa, how long am I committing to this? And so money was on the forefront for sure at the beginning of the year.
Well, and I think if I recollect correctly, you and I were having like this aha moment about, it doesn't matter if you have $0 in your bank account or $10 million in your bank account. We're still like in the same mindset when it comes to money, like this need for more, this need to control how much is going out. And then you were like, I think, because we were talking about how money is just a tool. It's literally just a tool used. And we were able to see like, oh, no matter if you have a lot or not much, it's still like having the same exact stories. Like we always say, same, but different. And then you were like, I think there's this book, because I remember joking and being like, you said like a book about money being like the soul. You didn't say soul of money. You said like money like being a tool of spirit. And I was like, I remember joking and being like, well, if there's not, we should write one, Julie.
Oh, like, right. Yeah. I remember you saying that for sure.
Yeah. And then you remember what it was. And then you brought it to my awareness. And I remember I immediately felt resistance. I was like, I just felt like this resistance. But it was like resistance with action. It was one of those moments where you really see how you can't control what's happening next. All you can control is your view of it, because like within minutes, I went to the introduction and read the free sample on and I couldn't stop no matter how much like ickiness, not ickiness, just like heavy, but not in a bad way, more in like a resistive, like what's this gonna bring way. Like I know this is unraveling some stories. And it's just been so powerful. Like Pat even said the other day, he's like, well, he uses, you know, he does that all the time. He uses things quote unquote against me. He'd be like, oh, well, you're not viewing that through the soul. Have you finished that book yet? Like, where are you at in that book? But yeah, but it's one of those books I feel like you don't, or at least for me, it's a book that is read slowly. It's a book that like each chapter, it almost takes time to like integrate and
I think so.
acclimate around it. I don't know how your thoughts have been on it. I mean, I know you read like 5 books at a time, but
I do. But I'm still on like chapter 5 of that book because exactly what you said. I felt like I went through, after I would read a chapter, there was so much in it. There were so many things in it of different perspective and I just feel like that's the best way of saying it. Like different perspective and stories about the difference between people that are wealthy and people that are poor and how we think about that and how it applies to us and how it applies to our current situation.
Right.
And one thing you said to me, so yes, to answer your question or to answer that point, I feel like it takes time to read a chapter. I think it's a great book club book.
Oh yeah.
Because of that very reason. Because like if you were going to take not read the whole book, but I'm saying like read a chapter and then discuss it with your group. Read a chapter and discuss, because each chapter in and of itself is pretty deep.
Powerful.
Yeah. It's brought up. I remember one thing you said to me in the last 2 months that since we've been looking at it and reading it, and we've talked about just different ways of looking at how money, it's not money maybe that comes into our world, let's call it, or our day-to-day, meaning when I got here to this apartment in Oxford and the things that the owner had left for me, toiletries, some food, some wine, previous people that had stayed here because it's an Airbnb had left shampoo and body wash and different things, but things that I don't think about as money, but yet those were things if I went into a different apartment, an empty apartment, let's say, I would have had to go and purchase. So I thought our conversation about that, like, let's have a different level of awareness of the things we receive that are resources that aren't money and how often that happens. And it happens a lot. You go somewhere and get a discount on food or a free meal, or your friend pays for a meal, or I mean, I've had so many things come through that I'm like, it's not just about the actual dollars coming in. That's one big thing that's come from even just the first 4 chapters of the book for sure that I've been paying attention to.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me at least, that has been, I think that's really where a big unwinding is for me, is around the money stories. And we talk about like in Lighthouse, and you and I have talked about that. It feels like because money is so equally, I don't know if accepted is the right word, or like equally understood, that it's a huge part of our lives no matter what. Like no matter if you have none or you have a billion, like money has quote unquote control over you in every aspect. So I feel like a lot of our ego stories hide behind it because it's just like the like we just have to have it, right? Like that's just a thing, and it's kind of and then you kind of forget about
we have to live is what we believe.
But then that book is like with the people in the village and stuff, and how they didn't have money and they felt so abundant until money was introduced. Like, it just blows your mind of like, is this a have to? I mean, we can say that conscious, like I've said it before, like, oh man, money was made by man, and you know, all this, but but that book just like, it really hits like deeper, like a deeper, like, yeah. And not even that long ago. I mean, it was what, I can't remember how many years ago that tribe got money introduced to it, but it was like, well, you and I were still alive, you know, maybe like we were alive.
This is 50 like, years. Yeah. In the last 40 or 50 years, I think. Yeah.
Right. So it just really is like, wow, like, is it that? And I think, I don't know, like for me, it kind of then, it was all like perfectly aligned timing, that book. And then the newest book that you brought forward, it's just really teaching me the flow, like just the flow, and like how money is no different than water. And I think the book, like a chapter you're reading, I'm not on that chapter yet, is literally talks about it, is like, you don't say like to your friend, oh, sorry, there's not enough water at my house for you, you can't come over, right? But like, if it's related to money, and let's say you're struggling with money, and your friend, you want to have them over for dinner, but you don't have enough money to put on the dinner you want, then they're like, oh no, I can't host dinner tonight, maybe next month. You know, like, it's anytime money's tied to it, it's like immediately there is no abundance, even if you have a ton of money, because all of a sudden then it's like the levels are just different. So yeah, I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent.
Yeah, I think that's what the water analogy is. It ebbs and flows too. Like, I think we all expect it to be this constant stream of exactly what we want it to be, or a certain level. And that's why I gave that example of like, we receive resources and support through so many different ways that we don't think of, we don't acknowledge. People that when I lived in Florida at my friend's place, I didn't pay for that because she's my friend and she's supporting me, you know, not supporting me, but I just mean through friendship. And probably the end of this year, I'm probably going to go stay with my sister for a couple months if she'll have me.
Yeah. Amy, if you're listening.
Yeah, that's what I've been putting out there as a no. I would like to, but I think the water analogy is a good one, is that at least for those of us in more affluent societies, we have what we need. We have water. We have the water we need. We have the food we need. We have the resources we need. We might not think it's, you know, from an actual money perspective, it's enough. But none of us, you know, in this example, none of us are living in a 1-bedroom with no furniture and no clothing and no food. And like, that's not our experience. And yet we still think there's not enough. So it just shows you and the book is so far really, in my opinion, focused on paying attention to the abundance that is always there. And that the recognition that especially in an affluent society, we're trained to think from a place of scarcity. And it requires us to focus and to do what we just talked about, hey, I actually have a lot of resources that don't look like dollars, actual, you know, dollars in my hand, but I have so many resources and I am so abundant, like beyond what I could hope for.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, it's a reminder that like abundance isn't external, it's internal. Because like the view, like you said, the affluent society, the view of that tribe would have been that like scarcity, right? They don't have the right clean water. They don't have this. They don't have that. And theirs was like so abundant. They're like, no, we have, like, they felt more abundant than the person, you know, on Park Avenue with like all the things, including clean water. And so to me, it's a reiteration of like where I'm going of like the remembrance that abundance is from within. It's not outside of you. And it's ever flowing. It's always there. And we just have to remember it. And it's like these stories like that the ego brings in, like money and stuff, is what blocks us from remembering that, because you know, that tribe wouldn't feel that way if it followed all the same stories that we followed. And I think that's what will happen in the book. I haven't finished, but like that's what I envision is like as money gets introduced, then all of a sudden they're like, oh wait, we are lacking. Oh wait, we do need more. But like what our friend Scott's friend always says to her, but nothing's changed. Yeah. Right? Except for the story that was introduced. Like you have, and maybe they even have more, right? Like then quote unquote more. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's been an interesting, I'm glad that, like, I know when you said you felt a lot of resistance around it, because I know you've felt in the past about personal development. Sometimes we think about books about money are about business and like how to get more and and it's like, that's not at all what
this book is,
where we are, and also where what the book is. And I always knew that, but I wasn't ready for it. It's another good example of books come into your awareness at different times, and if you're not ready to hear it, then you don't. Because I for sure heard about it years ago, and I think I even tried to like get into it, and I didn't. So it's happening now, and I'm grateful for it for sure.
Yeah, it's I mean, even like with A Course in Miracles and stuff, I was introduced to it through Marianne way long ago, but never sparked different curiosity. So you're right. And it was funny, like one of my barometers, which I think is starting to get ruined because I think more and more people are opening themselves to a different way of perspective. But one of my barometers was like, how many reviews are there? Are the reviews crap? And usually if the reviews are crap, like movies and stuff, those are some of the most powerful in telling us truth. And sure enough, this book only has like 1,000 reviews on Amazon versus like, you know, Jay Shetty's How to Be a Monk or Rich Dad, Poor Dad have like 500,000, because this book isn't like how to get rich quick, how to remove your money stories so that you can make more of it. How, you know, it's nothing, at least what I'm garnering from it. There is no quote unquote gain at the level of form. It's gain internally, but that's not what, you know, many people in a space of personal development are seeking. They're seeking a better dream, right? Make the dream of their life of their dreams.
It's probably exactly where I was at when I first heard about it. Was like, that's not, yeah, it's nice. I was like, well, that's nice, but I'm looking at how do I grow my business? I'm not
how do I make more money?
I'm not looking to learn all the theory and or not theory, but like philosophical aspects of what money actually is. I was like, well, that's really nice, but
I need
time for that.
So yeah, that's like the Course. Like if I would have started reading the Course because I read Marianne Williamson's Return to Love, and it literally says on it, like based on A Course in Miracles, like on the front cover. And I was such a curious person. Like it doesn't make sense to me why I didn't, because I loved Marianne's book. So it doesn't make sense why I wouldn't be like, oh, what's this book she references? But I didn't, but because I was in a space of being my own God. Like I was really in a space of manifesting and removing the barriers so that I could have more, so that I could make more money, so I could find the love of my life, so I could just be more. Yeah, so it makes so much sense. Well, same for this other book.
Well, I want to tell you something else about Course in Miracles before we go to the other book. So I don't know if you remember this, but when I know you and I were already working together, and because I specifically made some choices to go live at the beach through our work together of like, what do I really feel aligned with? And so like, then let's take those steps if that's what you want. And I met someone who had a beach house, and again, I had a money story of like, well, I pay for my house. Like, I don't want to pay for my house and then also pay and go rent her place. Like, that feels excessive. So I had a money story there, but nonetheless, I went and rented her place for 2 different months. And she had the book. It's Marianne's, one of Marianne's books, but it's daily. I don't know what exactly it's called, but like a daily reading.
Yeah.
Based on the Course in Miracles. So a daily miracle or whatever it's called. And that was really, you of course talked about it a bit because you and I had been working together, but I wasn't interested. I was like, I don't know what that is. I'm not religion stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
But I went to the beach house and she had this, and I'm a person who likes to read a daily devotional or a daily reading. And I have one that I've read for years. But my friend had the Marianne's daily miracle book that you read, and she had put the dates on each page. So that kind of fit in with my rhythm, and I started reading it every day. And then I was more curious. And then of course, that the rest of that story is through your videos that you wound up putting out. One a day.
Which I was scared to death for you to find.
Well, one a day for like 100 days or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
But again, it fit in with my routine to some degree of, I like to read a daily reading. I like to watch a short daily I'll call it educational video or informational video. And I did that for your videos were at least 100 days. So
I can't believe I did that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really my introduction to it. But if you hadn't, I might have seen the book and read the daily reading, but I don't know if you hadn't started introducing it into my thoughts of like what it was, what it means. It's more than just a daily reading. It's more than just a daily prayer. So anyway, I just wanted to share that's how that really started building momentum for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't the actual A Course in Miracles. I know through your conversations with Evelina that she actually saw the book, like at a bookstore.
And it was there a year later.
Yeah, and didn't pick it up and then saw it later. And I've never seen it. I've never seen the actual book. I use the online.
I didn't realize you've never actually seen the book. I know you don't have a copy and use the online. Interesting. But I think it's like our peanut butter jelly, Julie, that we talk about. It's the reiteration and the reminder that we're not in charge and that we can't force someone to do or not do something. It's all going to align when it's meant to.
Right.
So it's like, when we show up and we filter our words, we talk about that in Lighthouse of Beat, that's still private thoughts. Even if you feel like you're sharing with them, but you're filtering them, it's still this like ego lens over the top and you believing that you need to filter in order to have a certain outcome in that person. But it's like me, we both were exposed to these things way beforehand, like you with, the Soul of Money book. You maybe even started reading it, but it didn't resonate, so you couldn't understand it no matter. The book was literally in front of you. The words were literally there.
Yes.
And so it just shows us like, share what's on your heart because the person's going to receive exactly what they're meant to in that moment or whenever they have this recollection of all of the words they had already, stored up. So, I think that for me.
Something else we talk about is because we read a lot is if something is not resonating with you in this moment, put it down. Like don't force yourself.
I'm still working on that.
I know. It's like I did it for a long time too. I'm like, I bought this book and I'm going to force my way through it. And it's a practice to be like, all right, I'm about 25-30% of the way in, or even 50% of the way in, and it's just not speaking to me, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And it's like, just, I think the point you're making is like, pay attention to if it is speaking to you. Like, the Soul of Money didn't speak to me years ago, but it's speaking to me now. And it's, I'm taking it, but I'm also taking it really slow. I've had it for like 2 months, and I'm on chapter 5. And maybe I won't read the rest of it. I don't know.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, reiterate that. Like, I think that's the thing too, is like, we feel now that it's in your awareness and you understand it, you must finish it.
Read. Yeah.
Right. But you don't have to. I mean, you and I, we were going to read Taylor Jenkins Reid, that new book of hers. Remember, we both downloaded Atmosphere or whatever.
Astronaut book, yeah.
And like, I remember we were like, okay, let's read it, whatever. And I was like forcing myself. And finally I came to you, I'm like, Julie, like, this book. And you're like, oh, I stopped that a long time ago. And I was like, you just held on because you thought Julie was still reading. And it was like torture. It was like poking my eyes out trying to get through this book. Sorry, anyone listening who liked it. That's fine. But it wasn't resonating with, I guess, us.
Yeah.
But it's those moments. It's the stories again. It was the story of commitment. Like, that's used all the time, I feel like.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, for sure. No, that one, some are easier than others to let go of. But I think with an author that we love,
yes,
and,
all
many
of her books,
all of the books I've read, I loved. But that one, I was like trying. I'm like, this just is not. It's not enjoyable, and it's a fiction book, and I'm only reading maybe 2 fiction books at a time, and so.
Only maybe 2. Julie has
2.
like 5 TV shows going at the same time.
That's because
books,
not the TV shows, but the books. It's because I listen to at least one when I'm walking, and then I have one I read at night before I go to bed, and then I might have one that I read during the day. I have different points in time that I'm reading stuff.
Right. I don't know how you do it. But although I'm finding myself more and more in your footsteps, I'm like, the other day I caught myself because I have the Soul of Money book I haven't finished.
Yeah, I have that too.
And then when you brought Theo of Golden, I still had like a couple chapters left in my other book. And I caught myself, I did end up finishing my other book before I started Theo, but I had the story in my head. Oh, you need to finish it. And I was like, why? Julie doesn't. Like, Julie's got, I don't even know how many books going at once. Like, this is something people can do.
Yeah.
Plus, you have your school books.
Plus, I have school. Yeah. So I do. So the latest book I do want to share with you, because something just happened right before I came in here about how the most recent book you and I are reading is Theo of Golden.
I'll show it. I have it.
Oh, show it. Okay. And it's popular right now, but I honestly had not heard of it except from
Is it popular
one
right
person.
now?
Well, I think. I don't. Maybe.
No, I think it's popular in our mind, but I will say that when I posted this on my Instagram, my mentor, Jess, I talk about, she's like, OMG, I just packed that for the family vacation next week. And I was like, no way. Because you gave it to me. And then I was like, okay. Anyway, you tell the story.
So
beautiful book.
It came to me. Let's see. Let me back up. So how did this happen? So in Oxford, I live on a street, a pedestrianized street that has a pub. There's a couple different places on this street, but my favorite pub is on my street. It's called Rose and Crown, and the owner's name is Debbie. And then one of her bartenders or waitresses her name's Yanela. And Yanela and I have had, I've been in there a handful of times last year and then this year with a book, like we're reading a book. So last year, I had been in there reading a book from a local author, a local Oxford author. I had been and listened to her speak at a bookstore, bought the book, was reading it at Rose and Crown. Yanela and I started talking about it. She's this darling, lovely young lady. And so anyway, I wound up giving her the book last year. So
was it
we're
the bees
reading.
book?
No, it's a detective murder
Oh,
mystery kind of, or mystery kind of book.
yeah.
So
Okay.
that's how I met her last year, was through this book. So I gave her the book when I was done, and then I left Oxford. So I came back this year. I went in there a couple weeks ago, and I was finishing a book, a different book. And I finished it, and I gave it to the owner, and I said, can you give this to Yanela? I just finished it. It's really good. It's called The Midnight Bookshop, that my friend Cease had sent me for Christmas. And I just wanted to share it. I was like, here, because I had the, I don't always have the physical book. So I had it. So I was like, give this to Yanela. So in that moment, the owner says, Debbie says to me, oh my gosh, do you have a new book yet? Or are you reading anything? And of course I have many, but I said, no, why? What do you
Yeah.
think?
No, I don't have 10
I'm like,
at
I
home.
have
I've already
10,
started.
but no. She goes, I just heard about a book that this customer or somebody was raving about and said it will change your life. And I said, okay, great. What is it? Theo of Golden. And I said, oh, all right, I'll look it up. Like, great. I'm happy to. Looked it up. And it, based on just the summary, I was like, that's great. I'd be happy to read that. And so I got it. I read like the first, I don't know, 10 chapters maybe. This was just last week. Read the first 9 or 10 chapters, and you and I on Lighthouse, or you had shared on Lighthouse, a story about your business name, the Unicorn Effect, and how you had done something. I don't want to give any secrets away about the book, but you had shared a story about something you had tried to implement through your business of sharing joy, sharing love with others, kind of thing. I won't say more, but that sparked, when I read the first 10 chapters, I thought of you instantly, and I was like, oh my gosh, Ashley needs to read this. This book is going to speak to her. And I had this moment of, I don't know if we talked about this on the last call about the little Jesuses and how, okay, we'll come back to that if we want to. But anyway, I had this moment where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to send it to her. I'm so excited. And so I go on Amazon, and I'm like, oh, that's boring. I don't want to send it on Amazon. I was like, how else could I do this? Like, how else could I get her to get this book? And something came, and I was like, look up a local bookstore and go online and order it. And I was like, well, I don't want it to be delivered to you, because what good is that?
What fun.
I was I'm just going to order it and then have her go pick it up, so that you get both the opportunity to go into the bookstore if you've never been there, and get the book.
Yeah. That was like, it's like the baby Jesus. I think we did talk about the baby Jesuses in the last call, of
We
how
probably did.
Yeah, and how it like completely shifted my day on Christmas, and if I wouldn't have received them. And so the Theo of Golden, so simple. So the bookstore you sent it to is Auntie's, and if anybody is in the Spokane, Washington area, it might even be further than here. Like, it is historical here. Like, this place has been forever. There's a game store.
It's local.
And Pat
it's
and I
not
had
a chain.
No, and Pat and I had went there, but it was like the end of the day. And if anybody knows Pat, they know, like, when he's done, he's like a kid. When he's done, he's done. He doesn't throw fits like a kid does, but like it's time to go. And so we didn't get to spend much time in there. And you message, and you're like, there's this. You didn't even tell me it was a book, so I didn't even know what it was.
I said there's a gift.
You said I have a gift waiting for you at this bookstore, which is literally 1.1 miles from where we are.
I checked.
And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I was going to go to the gym or something. I'm like, hell no. Like, I quick jumped on the Peloton. I'm like, I'm going down there. I went down there. I got to peruse the books, which, like, I love the smell of books. Like, there's just something, when they started shutting down Barnes and Nobles, I was like, I mean, Amazon is great. Don't get me wrong. I use Amazon a lot. but just to, even if you don't buy anything, but just to be amongst the store, it's just like so magical. And, you know, just like all these bookshop stories are coming out, right? Because there is a magicalness of the bookshops, you know, like Midnight Library. You just talked about the book that C sent you. And there's so, because when I was there, I saw so many of those too, like the different bookshops.
Yes. It is.
And so I saw the book. An interesting thing. Well, I looked around, went to the front, and I was like, hey, I have something here to be picked up. Mind you, I just got my brand new yellow coat that I'm absolutely in love with, that I thrifted. And so I just felt cheery. Like when I wear that, I just feel like a cheery beam of sunlight. And he hands me this book, and I'm like, oh, okay, do you know anything about it? And he's like, oh, I know it's Christian. I was like, okay. And the lady's like, and it was a bestseller at some point. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I was like, I looked at them, and like, they're probably like, who is this lady? I was like, well, she's taking this transcendental psychology course in Oxford. So maybe it's tied to that. Maybe it's somehow like this book is tied to that. Cause they didn't seem like, oh yeah, this, like you said, Julie, if it was popular, and these are like it's a local bookstore. Yes. And there's not a ton of workers either, I don't think. I think they have like a regular set of people that are there all the time. So I feel like they would know if it was truly popular. Yeah. And so I think I came home. I was so excited to read it. And I had to finish that other book. And then I started reading this book, and I just broke down. Just like, I think I texted you, and I was like, I'm already crying, and I'm on like chapter 3. And these are small chapters, P.S.
Yeah,
anybody
quick.
Listening in.
They're quick chapters.
Yeah, they're like 4 to 10 pages each chapter. And I was like, this is everything. So then I asked you, like, what brought you to give this to me? And you're like, so the story of the unicorn effect thing, and we won't give too much away, because on the back it literally talks about giving and receiving.
That's right.
Or at least the reviews do.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but my whole theory there was to truly see people, like for them to see themselves. Like I wanted to send these unicorn horns around, like the party ones, and I wrote this long message about like you are meant to be seen, just like unicorns were told you're never meant to see them, and blah blah blah. And so really it was like this anonymous moment of sending something that allowed a person to truly experience themselves, to remember truth. Right. And it fell apart, right? Because my business fell apart, and it was like $8 to send each horn. So it was like not going anywhere. I think I sent like 20 or 30 of them. But I had this realization that I had shared with Lighthouse recently, that 33 Joy Street, granted it started from a place of ego preferences to make money, to go to a friend's wedding in Sicily, it quickly transformed into that, that is what we are doing in 33 Joy Street, is that we're taking items that people are purchasing, and then I write a story that sparks remembrance of the light and the beauty within them. And so this book literally has contained everything that I have ever felt on my heart, but then also some of the people that are in this story, Julie. Like I messaged you the other day, there's a specific chapter, you haven't got there yet, I don't think, that I was just bawling. And so maybe I'm going to have to put a disclaimer, but a disclaimer of like may hear, but like when you read it, it's going to be so different. Are you cool, Julie? You haven't read this part yet. Yeah. I'm not going to deeply share, but essentially it's a homeless woman. And I have always felt so connected to homelessness in this odd way. That homeless people have always sparked grand curiosity in me. And I've also had a great fear of becoming homeless, but also when my business fell apart was a moment of surrender to it. Like I literally called my friend and I was like, okay, this is what I'm meant to be. I'm meant to be homeless. I'm going to hand in the keys to my car. I'm going to send you my favorite books. Can you send me books every now and then? And I was kind of seeing this guy, and I had a conversation with him. I was like, yeah, this is where it's going. And he's like, absolutely not. He's like, have you seen what happens to people? He's like, you can't you can't do that, Ashley. I was like, but I feel this is what's part of my journey. And of course I had ego stories of like, I'm going to bring a camera and I'm going to document it. And, you know, then dreams that my YouTube channel or whatever would grow big. But also was this like sense of punishment of like, you got yourself in this. This is what you have to experience now. Like you should have done different, but because you didn't, you're going to have to suffer. And so anyway, I had a dear friend, Kelly, who she came back after Christmas. She's like, nope, we're coming up with a plan. And she helped me make this plan. And then, you know, things unfolded. I met Pat and stuff has just unfolded since. But it was that deep surrender, I think, that allowed the fear of the homelessness to leave. And then I remember, it was when we were in Tampa, there was this homeless woman, and she would carve into the tree outside of Publix on the river walk. And I was always just so curious of her. And one night I was having a super bad night, a moment where like I left the apartment in a rage, and so many stories had to unwind when I first met Pat. And I went to Publix and she was sitting there. And I went inside and bought all my favorite things, all the things I would eat when I felt bad, like Cheez-Its and these candy grapes, like real grapes, the cotton candy ones, and some other stuff. And I brought them to her. And it was this feeling of like, it was like the in giving is receiving. I didn't know that. Like I wasn't consciously like, oh, if I give to her, I'm going to feel better. But it was like this feeling. So in this book, one of the things is this homeless. And when I was reading it about this homeless woman, I messaged you and I was like, I'm not going to get through this chapter. Like I can't even read a sentence without bawling. Like just tears are just, I remember telling Pat over and over, I'm like, this book is so good. This book is so good. But it was like this release of feeling that I was her. Like that was me. And like he really, in the story, he sees her for who she truly is. And I feel like when I messaged you that this book has been, or I think I put it on Instagram, whatever, this book has been everything that's been on my heart, but it's also showing me all the things that have been in the way of allowing my heart to truly flow through. And I feel like that story with the homeless lady, there was some sort of healing there, some deeper healing for myself in regards to that. So I know I've mumbled on a lot, but like this, every moment, like this morning, I told Julie's like, well, let me know how far you are in the book, and you know, maybe we can be near the same page. And I think I messaged back last night when I went to bed, because we're on different time zones. I'm on 31 and a half, and the most I'll get to is 33. But I was like, so now I'm on 34 because I couldn't stop. I just can't stop. But every chapter I open, every interaction he has just feels like another interaction of like, oh my gosh, that's me. And when again, the homeless lady, I was sitting in this like just knowingness that this was me. And you know, we've talked in the past, like I feel like maybe I was Shakespeare in a past life, and you know, like I have these different resonances, but I had this like voice come in and say, because you are everyone and everyone is you. And so, long story, very long. I think what this book is really showing me too is that we can heal for the whole, is that remembrance of like, we're all healing together always. And so it doesn't matter if I appeared to be the homeless, like, you know, that story is healing through me. I don't know. I mean, I'm like just barely halfway through this book, and it just keeps getting.
I love it. I'm reading it on Kindle, so I don't know how thick or whatever it is, but it just says I'm like 20% of the way through. But I think that the part, you know, of where we don't know his story. I don't know his story yet of what, you know, his background is or anything like that. But just the fact that he decided to do this act of kindness where and I think this is the overarching summary of the book, is he decides to give, buy something and give it as a gift to people to meet and and like you said, see people for who they are. And through those conversations, it's just a really beautiful depiction of seeing each other and knowing, that no one's on their own. We're all in this together, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and it's like we talk about, Lighthouse is our example of it. And there's so many that we go home 2 by 2 because it's essentially what you cannot see in yourself, your brother can see in you. And that's what we witness in him, is because we talk about, like, in Lighthouse, if you come home and you're like, oh, I'm so sick, like say I did that to Patrick and I'm like, oh, I feel so sick, and he doesn't feed into it, it's almost like you don't experience it anymore, right? Or it's way less because it's not being fed. The story isn't being fed, but the vice versa, right? Like when someone looks at you or says, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful today. Like you feel this, oh yeah, but like literally 5 minutes ago, you could have looked in the mirror and thought you felt like crap. But because someone outside of you is saying that, it's like reflecting what's really going on deeper. And I feel like that's, like you said, this through his act of giving, right, at the level of form, looks like he's paying money. Here we're back into the money story, right? Like he could have been like, oh, I can't afford that. Or, people like, oh, I can't accept this because you paid for it. So money, a story that's involved in this. Through the act of what appears like that, what he's doing is he's being the saner brother in the moment, and he's witnessing truth and then being the mirror for them to remember their own truth.
And for the purpose of connection. The real purpose is he's come to a new town. I think his intention is connection, period. And he has a spark of an idea as to something he wants to do, and he follows through with it. Like back to your example with 33 Joy or your unicorn horns, was always that both of those are about connecting with others and helping them feel seen and heard and understood and connected.
Yeah. I had a friend when I shared with her like the intention behind Joy Street, when I really understood it, right? Of course, it started out with money. Like, and Pat and I, like, now it's like crickets a lot. But at the beginning, we were like selling left and right. Yeah. And I think it's, again, an example of how, like, spirit makes sure things keep you in the, you know what I mean? Like, we probably, if we didn't make a sale for a month, would have been like, yeah, whatever. Like, we wouldn't have felt the momentum of what it truly was, and wouldn't have had the opportunity to see, like, oh, this is about connecting this. And the reviews of people writing back and thank you for this sweet note, and it was so wonderful. But when I was sharing that with a friend, once I really figured out what is behind it, she's like, oh, like 33 Joy Street, you're experiencing the joy, sharing the joy in the joining. And I was like, I never thought, like, you know how words, sometimes I'll look up definitions in Lighthouse, or we just talk about them, like, I never thought of that. Like, joining starts with the word joy. Yeah. I mean, how beautiful. Because it is. It's true. When you truly join, you feel immense joy. Choose joy.
Choose joy.
Oh, yeah. So this book has, I'm like, oh my gosh, so I'm almost done. Is there another book Julie feels inspired to share?
Of course. So I didn't finish the end of that story. So the owner of the pub is the one that told me about it after I handed her the book for Yanela. And I just, before this call, went in the pub. I haven't been over there for 2 weeks. Went in there to have a glass of wine because it's sunny and beautiful out on the street. So I wanted to sit out, and just like an hour and a half ago. And Yanela's working, and I haven't seen her since I gave her left the book. And she said to me, hey, thanks for the book, of course. And she said, I just had a question for you. Would you like to start a book club with me? And I
I love
said,
that.
of course. Yeah. I mean, that's how we've bonded with each other, has been through
Yeah.
discussing different books. And she's like, okay, let's share contact information and let's figure out what we want to read. And she's a library, she works there, and she's a library assistant somewhere.
Oh, so
And
she works at the library too.
one of the library, there's a million libraries here in Oxford, of course, but
Yeah.
and so she's like, so I can get the books for us through the library. Like I can get, because they can share the books. So going back to like, I met her through talking about a book, talked to the owner, heard about Theo of Golden, went in there today, and she just asked me if I would start a book club with her.
It's the interconnectedness is just, it's like once you, I think we were talking about this little lighthouse the other day, I think, but it's like once you start to have that awareness, you can't, like you can't even come up with random excuses of how coincidental things would be. It's just like, you can see that, like, no, this was strategic, like, look at, and it's going to continue because it always does. But like, and I think too, as we get further in this book, I don't know if it'll be a book club, but I have a feeling many of these connections are going to come back around into some sort of aha moment of like, oh, you know what I mean? Because that's the joy of joining. And I think, like, I mean, maybe that's really what our whole conversation is about today, because now what's popping in my head, Julie, is Cease and Joy, and how they've been on this podcast, and it's only through our connection have I connected with them and had these amazing conversations. And I think we just forget of where true healing is. It's in the connections, and that's where the joy is really exposed, is through I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but you get it.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, I think that and I'm so happy that you had both of them on. Cease has her own podcast and has had it for years, Women, Life, and Science, which is wonderful. And so she interviews lots of people or has conversations with lots of people and has been doing it for a long time. So I immediately thought of her because I'm like, she's a wonderful, like, able to have beautiful conversations with people and very experienced, and like you've met her before one time. And then, but Joy, the other reason Joy came to my mind was because last year while I was in Oxford for that was my first year being here, I shared with you how many times Joy sent me. She knew I was out of the country. I was out of the country on my own for the first time in a long time, whatever. And she sent me so many beautiful messages, literally through the mail, through text, through, phone calls, all of it. And one that stands out is she sent me that note from future Jules, future Julie, that was like, it was a message, and there must be some company out there, I'm sure, that does this, that they send you can have them send a letter to somebody that says it's from the future version of themselves, that says, I'm so proud of you for everything you're going through, experiencing. You're wonderful. I love you, all the things. And it came, I don't remember the circumstances of the day that it came, but what I do remember is it was the day I needed it. Like, I think I was having something in class or something was going on, and it came. I remember specifically, I'm like, I can't believe this letter came today of all days. It didn't come on some random day where I wasn't doing anything. It like really was
like,
a
oh,
message.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was like, and I got it like at noon, and I was going out the door to class or something. And I just, so anyway, long story short, Joy had been, I mean, I've known Joy since I was 16, and we lived together. She was my first roommate. We have a lot of history. But last year in particular, she just was my angel who just kept sprinkling love and attention and guidance to me at a time where I was going through a massive transition. And it was wonderful.
Yeah.
So, and I watched, of course, both of them on your podcast, and I, of all people, loved, I mean, I cried the minute they started, and, you know, because I was so happy to see you guys together. So thank you for doing that. I'm so happy it worked out.
Thank you. And there's more, you know, there's more to come. Like, interesting thing is, so, gosh, I was back in Tampa because I remember being at the Tampa apartment. And I think one of the first times you ever introduced the friend named Joy was we were talking about you moving deeper into like spirituality and how your relationships were changing. Because one thing I always told all my clients at the beginning was things are going to change, right? Friends may fall away, relationships may look different because you're changing, the dance is changing.
Right.
But I remember you introducing, like, you know, I've been friends with Joy, you know, my entire life pretty much. But you're like, our conversations have taken such a turn. Like, I know she's always been big into, you know, church, and you brought up Joel Osteen. Yeah. And I had never heard of that guy before. And Pat's like, oh yeah, he's like this, you know, big church guy, mega church guy. And Pat at that time, he's like, I could see him inviting you to speak. And I was like, what? That's so random. But so then like this full circle moment, and then I'm, you know, talking to Joy in the conversation, and not that has anything to do with me speaking on Joel Osteen, but she shares about how she's been on his wife's radio show and shared her testimony. And then literally 2 days ago, she texted me, she's like, you'll never believe it. I was on Joel's, you know, radio station, and she sent it to me. And it's just like, again, another one of those things where things are implanted early. Like, it's like this knowingness, like, because you brought it up early on, and now it's become this just like, I don't even know necessarily where I'm going with that, other than just seeing the interconnectedness in it all.
Yeah, I think for me, what it says is he's I actually don't know. I can't by any means speak to his background. I know he's basically like a minister who speaks to congregation. I don't know that it's aligned with any specific religion. I think it's maybe Christianity or some like generally Christian messages.
Yeah.
And it's not Catholicism or anything like that, I don't think. But what I have heard, I've heard him a little bit, and Joy shared on your podcast, is he has a message of positivity and love. I think community and love. Yeah. And that's kind of it. I mean, that'd be my takeaway. I think that's why people follow him, is just has enough character and charisma and just able to stand up in front of big audiences and get them engaged. That's his strength. And so, and she loves him, and she's listened to him for a long time. And it's like we were back to when we started talking a little bit ago about the Course in Miracles and Marianne Williamson. And she's the kind of a similar figure in that space of Course in Miracles, and she's been a very widely received messenger, and she spoke to me. I mean, I still don't watch her as much, but I still really enjoy her, and I watch some of her old they've got them on YouTube, you know, of ones she did 10-15 years ago when she would go into churches and speak to groups. And I still watch some of those older ones of where she's educating on the Course and relationships and love, and just the general messages are so powerful.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you kind of like brought this shift in the topic up, because it's something. So yesterday when you and I were texting back and forth about this book, the Theo of Golden,
Mm-hmm.
one of my
Mm-hmm.
first thoughts when I was reading is like, I have to talk to this Alan guy. Like, I need to talk to him. And so then you and I were texting back and
Yeah.
forth, and you had mentioned that, and I was like, of course, yeah, I'm going to reach out. I need to talk to him. And then you brought up way back,
Yeah.
a couple years ago now, right? 2-3 years
Peaceful
ago.
warrior.
When when I did my Peaceful Warrior
Yeah.
series on YouTube, I reached out. I can't remember his name.
Dan
I reached out to the guy.
Isn't it Dan Milliman?
Yeah. Yes. I
Okay.
reached out to him and attempted to have a conversation. And so I was thinking about this, about when, and if I never heard anything back. And I think, yes, as you become more popular, maybe your time becomes more valuable. Does it? Does it not? But one thing is David Hoffmeister, who's kind of broken my thoughts about that. So prior to that, when I was big into personal development and stuff, and the sky is limitless and you create your own future, I had never felt different. I grew up watching Oprah. And so I always felt like Oprah was like the lady in your living room. Like, she wasn't famous. She was literally like, I'd come home from school and spend the afternoon with Oprah, whether she was on the television or she was in my bed, in the living room with us. Like, I didn't see a barrier. Like, I've never felt a barrier within myself to me, or even the Kardashians. Like, I'm like, I feel like I could be their best friend, like, I feel like I could help them. I could, all these things. Brene Brown. There's been so many moments in my life where these people that have the charisma and they have the stage and they have the following, I felt like, why can't they talk to me? Like, why do I have to have a huge following to interact? Like, I couldn't ever fully understand that internally. And so when I was thinking about this Alan guy, I was like, he might get it though. He might get it like David did. If I reach out to him, he might feel inspired to respond, and to not let that cloud, because David, I did the same thing with him. Like, I randomly messaged him. I told Pat, like, oh, I found this guy. He seems to be teaching the course the way Ken Wapnick did. Very, it's not about manifesting. It's not about making a better dream. It's really like, we're here to unwind from the dream. We're here to remember truth, which is really hard to find in the course teachers, because we're all coming from a place of ego. So it's hard not to start to use it for a better ego world. And so I messaged him on Facebook and said, hey, I would love to have a conversation with you, blah, blah. And I didn't check my messenger because I was like, same. I've messaged Brene Brown. I've messaged Oprah. I've messaged all these very quote unquote big people in my life and have never heard back from anyone. I don't even know if they've read them. And I even messaged Khloe Kardashian. I messaged Britney Spears when I did Britney Spears' thing on my YouTube. But so all of a sudden, I think it was maybe the next night, it was at least 24 hours. I opened my messenger on Facebook because at that point, I think I deleted the apps. And there was a message back from him. And he had messaged me within like minutes.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, hey, yeah, let's hop on a call now. And I was like in the bathroom and I yelled, oh my God, Patrick, he responded and he wanted to talk. Like, I can't, my mind was blown because it was reiterating what I had always felt within, but there was all these external stories coming up of like the fame and, kind of shiny object, which really quickly, he explained, I was like, do you get lots? Because then I started to go down, well, nobody must message him. Right? So I just must be whatever. And he's like, no, I get hundreds of messages a day, but I just follow the guidance of spirit and I respond to whoever. And I felt that you were the one. And he just broke so many barriers about the guru mentality, about the us versus them, the I'm more important than not. So I don't know why I went into this, but you just sparked that because it came up again for me. When you and I were talking about the Peaceful Warrior and the Alan, I also literally had a dream the other night that I was having a conversation with Jacob Collier. And I have messaged him. Remember, I invited him to the beach in Florida and he went to the beach like a mile down the road, but not with me.
Hey,
so,
you know that the script is written and the timing is what it is. And it isn't in that moment. It doesn't, and it's just everything we just talked about is all in line with this, which is you have potentially come into these people's awareness years ago, whatever, today, and a year from now, tomorrow, the next time you message, the next time, it might be like, oh wait, I've heard of that person. I know she messaged before. We don't know.
Or maybe never.
And we don't need to, and we're not going to create stories about why, because I want to go, well, Brene Brown has a team of people that's going through it and they're not in the same spiritual space. And so they're not going to, whatever. I don't want to do that. But I think that I brought up the Peaceful Warrior because I remember when I watched your videos on it that are on your Big Miracle Energy page. And you said in the first video, I believe, you're like, I really want to talk to the author. And I remember at the time thinking, yes, I want someone to talk. I want you to talk to him because I want to hear his perspective. And he's written more than that book. And what an interesting journey he's had. And so I think it's great. I think it's great that if you are like, I'd like to talk to them, I'd say keep pushing it out there. And whenever somebody's meant to come through, like David, that there's alignment, great, wonderful. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. And it's like anything in the process, like I know it's a tool being used by spirit. Like it brought back up again yesterday. I know David shattered some of those stories.
Sure.
But I felt them come back up yesterday when you and I were having that conversation of like, oh, he's not going to respond because, Alan, I don't have a big enough following and he's going in front of mega churches and I don't have money to pay him. And, maybe he feels like talking to me is a waste of time. And I was like, but if I truly believe everything that he talks about in here, where it's one by one individual conversations, then why wouldn't I attempt to give him his picture? You know what I mean? To make that connection. And if, like you said, the script's already written. So if we're meant to talk, we'll talk. And if we're not meant to talk,
that's right.
Me expressing will be used in a different manner. So gosh, Julie, you're just so good at like the Jesuses, the Soul of Money, the Theo of Golden. Sorry. Anyway,
I try.
I'm just like,
well, there's another person that just made, because I would also love to see you talk to Marianne. So my strength is not, I'm happy to talk to people, but it isn't like it does not spark me to be like, let me do a podcast and let me try to get Marianne Williamson. I think she's brilliant and I would love, but I feel like this is a strength of yours and like a guiding light for you to have these conversations with people. So like if I had my dream, I want you to talk to Marianne Williamson. I want you to talk to Peter Crone.
Oh, you always talk about him. I have never done much research into him, but he has been a very influential. I mean, I think there was like a specific audio thing that you had talked about at one point. You sent it to me and I listened to it. But other than that, like, I don't know a ton about him.
Yeah. I won't spend a lot of time, but what I love about, he's the mind architect is his moniker, I guess is what you call it. And he works with all kinds of, he does a mastermind and he works with professional athletes and people. He's become very famous through his work over the past like 30 years. But he works with people on, it's all in your mind. It's all mindset. It's all beliefs. It's all thoughts, whatever's going on with you, body stuff, anything holding you back. It's all in I think he says there's 10 prisons that hold that hold us back, like not being enough, not being good enough, not something, not lovable, not wanted, all those things. And he just is a skilled coach and speaker, of course, and all the things that he does. Live coaching, he does, masterminds and things where and podcasts, almost every podcast he goes on, as you would imagine, the person that's interviewing will say, well, I'm dealing with this. And he'll just start going through his questions of, well, how does that show up in your life, and how does it feel in your body? And I'm not going to try to come up with it. Of course, he uses the Byron Katie questions of, is that true? And how do you know it's true? And all those things. But he's integrated, I think, so many beautiful skills in helping people get to the deeper root of, it's not about the surface level issue that you're focusing on, like somebody else's behavior. It's not about that. And it's not about changing others outside of you. It's not about changing things outside of you. Of course, it's coming back into yourself and your own mind and your own thoughts. And he just does a beautiful job. And I think, and what I love, and the reason he popped in my mind was because he does go, and he's very popular, but he goes on podcasts all the time, because I watch them, and where people have 1,000 subscribers, like what you would perceive as smaller groups, or maybe younger, more beginner, or more, kind of people just getting started. And he goes on all of them. And I love that about him. He's on big ones, and he's on small ones, and he's on new ones, and he shares the same message, and it's beautiful. I really think he's special.
I thought about that, like, because I remember back, like, when I was charging like a ridiculous amount of money for my services, and then Patrick brought me back, like, to reality, and he talked about, he's like, why would you raise your prices if you don't have like a waiting line or whatever? So this is back when we're still like talking business and in personal development. And I was like, oh yeah, true. So then, like, I couldn't raise my prices until I got to a certain point, which I never got to that point. So I never raised my prices. Yeah. But even if I were to get to that point, I understand that when you're in demand, your time might be worth more. But where is the line? Because I think of like Jesus, because I don't ever want to get, like, maybe I'll never become like that. I don't want to say popular, but that needed, so I won't ever experience it where like, it's like, oh my gosh, how do I disperse? But I feel like Jesus didn't, like, his time was great in demand, like with his disciples and the people and stuff, but I don't feel like he was like, oh, this Pharisee, I think it's a Pharisee. Yeah, well, this wealthy guy down the street wants to have me over, versus all these, homeless people want to hear my sermon. I'm going to go here. Right. So it's like, when does it get sort of like wrapped up into this ego? Like, I'm in demand, because, and we're kind of grappling with this in Lighthouse, kind of similar concepts of like, it's really spirit that's flowing through the people that are in demand, right? Like it's the attraction, maybe a lot of the ego stories, but also it's the light that attracts you. Yeah. And so I don't know where I'm going with that, other than I think it's just some stories that like I'm always still trying to grapple with. And maybe it's also my ego, because it's like, well, just because I don't have a following, why can't, I have this conversation with this person? And I remember Gabby Bernstein, like, definitely some healing there. Pat and I saw her in person, and like, she was a huge part of my personal development journey, which is so interesting that she started her journey with the Course in Miracles. And I think she's taken a different venture of what that looks like. But I was so angry at her, so angry when we saw her in person. And because it was this, she was no longer like, her stories she shared with you were relatable, but the way she showed up was she was better than you. Okay. Like, she very like dismissive and no time for you. And even these ladies that were sitting behind us, we're like, we've seen Gabby a million times. That's the reason why we came here. And she is not who she, like, they were like diehard Gabby Bernstein friends, or fans. And so I don't know where I'm going with, other than like, where is that line that all of a sudden we feel maybe entitlement or
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I don't even know where the hell I'm going with this, other
Well,
than these stories come up when I think about contacting these people
of
that are
course.
on like
Well,
bigger podcasts.
I think what comes up for me is the conversation you coached me through when I had a CEO of a healthcare system that was looking for a coach. And at the time, I was coaching executives, but at probably a tenth of the price of what a CEO would expect to pay, let's say. And there is a value conversation here, because if a person who makes $1 million, let's just say $1 million, compared to a person who makes $100,000, if you're charging a person who makes $100,000, let's say, I'm just going to random numbers, 5,000, versus a person who makes $1 million, if you're going to charge a person $5,000 who makes $1 million a year, they're going to be like, I spent $5,000 on groceries every week.
Wine last night.
Yeah. Groceries every week. Like, what are
at
dinner?
Irwin's
One
in
dinner.
California. Yeah.
And so there is. I just think. I think it's a great question, because I think people that are in business and are on the same journey, wherever we are, which is we're providing services. How do we determine the value and how much to charge for services? It's because I think we are now I'm on the other side of it, of like, I think you're on the side of it too. Like, I'll just do it for free because I don't want to get my ego involved, and I don't want to like feel like I'm living in the world, like trying to manipulate the external. But that's not the right answer either. And I don't
it's the other side of the same coin.
It's the other side. So
yeah,
I think this is where possibly I'd have to think about it a little bit more. What I feel like, Peter Crone works with professional athletes that make $20 million contracts and aren't performing and are worried, about their reputation, different things. And he just, again, it's the same thing of what's blocking your view from doing what you need to do. They have the money already, but their performance isn't there because there's still things blocking. So it's the same question, but I think I think when you get to certain levels, just like why I have a coach, there are certain levels where you can't quite work your own way through it. And I think one thing I will always be grateful to my first, I think I will call her my first executive coach, Sandra, when she said to me, when you're dealing with something, whatever it is, only find one person or maybe two at the most who have the expertise, who actually literally have the expertise because they've been in it themselves, or they coach people on it, or they live in that space to guide you and ask you the questions and work with you through it. So somebody like, I think people, when they hire, I work with people as a coach who want to go where I went in my career. And I can at least have some perspective on what it took for me to do that. I have had a couple small businesses, but I haven't had like a massive entrepreneurial venture. So I wouldn't be able to coach someone like, how do you grow your business to $500,000? I have never done that. So I know I'm rambling now too, but I just feel like your questions are completely valid and appropriate. And it does take somebody who has some perspective on what it actually could look like and what are the things that get in the way of hearing the message one way or the other, to know, is this my ego driving me, or am I actually blocking the guidance that I'm asking for? Like, which way is it?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what I brought up over and over again in Lighthouse last week. It's like that deciphering between the lighthouse and the tugboat, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
the tugboat is like you're trying to make something happen or stop it, you know, a certain way, versus are you following the guidance, and it's the stories
Yeah, for sure.
that get in the way. And I think, you know, yeah, I don't know, the value concept, and I think, you know, so many of these deeper spiritual unwindings are like, I think they're becoming more popular because people have spent so much time in the other aspect of seeking external validation, and
Mm-hmm.
it's still not working, you know.
Yeah.
But it's the value concept. The value concept is only often at the level of form, right? Like, what is my value at the level of form, instead of, you know, the other aspect can be the value at the level of like spirit and internally. But it's so hard to see that,
It
like,
is.
because it's not a tangible external value. So then it's hard to then quote unquote value it, put a price tag on it, to put, and then you know, and then it's the navigating the tugboat versus the lighthouse. And I don't know, I feel like we've totally gone off on a tangent.
We're coaching each other on this here.
Yeah, moving through.
Yeah. It's not there's not it's just a good example of there's not an easy answer. It takes the things we always say to each other on Lighthouse, which is pray on it and hand it over, pray on it and hand it over, pray on it, ask for guidance, ask for guidance, ask for guidance. And I bring up the point about my first executive coach because her point is something I used to do all the time, was seek feedback from others that didn't have the expertise.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, you know, it was really valuable coming from her. She was an executive coach. She'd been doing it for 40 years. So at least she had some level of expertise in the exact thing I was talking to her about.
Yeah.
How to like set this up and build it. Now, you still have to take that with the, you know, kind of, and see how it makes you feel, and see how you're like, does this resonate with me, or am I doing it because she's telling me to? So but I think we've had enough experience in other areas of our life. Money can be a hard one for people, but we've had plenty of examples in other areas of our life where somebody said, do this, and you're like, no, absolutely not. That does not speak to me, and I am not doing that.
Right.
So in this one, we know, especially many people have the money story. And so it's about finding the right person who can actually ask you the questions that get you to go. Again, it's about you going inside. It's not anyone else's opinion.
Right.
That's what I think would say.
Ultimately comes to following like the guidance, the intuition, and sometimes it doesn't always make sense.
Yeah.
You know, I think some of the greatest teachers when it comes to seeing the world anew are children, and that would completely not make sense. They have no expertise, but really they do. And so, yeah, I think that's what happens when it listens to spirit, because like when I talk about David, it made no sense in my mind at the level of form why he would respond to me when, you know, he's got like a prince of some country and all these different places that he interacts with, and here's this lonely girl just reaching out, but it's because like the rules don't apply.
That's right.
And so I feel like then I just wish everyone didn't apply the rules, but yeah, I don't know, but that means I'm still applying the rules because I wouldn't witness it if I wasn't.
That's right.
Which takes us into a spiral of like
discernment.
But I think, discernment. So I think like we kind of full circle brought it back like to the soul of money, and it just being like water, and like you're no more deserving of water than I am, and vice versa. And like we all have exactly as we need. I mean, anytime I quote unquote try to get ahead in the money game, there's no such thing. There is no ahead. It's just you're always going to be exactly where you are.
Well, but you say this to me, when you say trying, you know you're forcing something. So if
Right.
you were, let's say, to get an interview with or a conversation with Marianne, and that was something that you needed to pay for, you might be compelled to do that because of who she is.
Right.
And she deserves that
Yeah.
money, and then through her being on your podcast, it probably would elevate.
Yeah,
You know,
open.
it's
Yeah.
a circular, maybe it comes back to, again, the book and other things around connection of it's all giving and receiving. And do the actual dollars matter, or is it when you actually
Just a
connect
tool.
with someone and it feels aligned, and if you have to pay for it or they have to pay you or whatever, it's all part of what we're trying to achieve with each other. Not trying.
Yeah.
I take that back. Not trying, but what
Yeah,
is
not
happening?
trying.
What is happening?
Yeah, the unwinding. And it's just a tool. And I think that's the thing to wrap, it's a tool. It's always a tool. So maybe that day, like you said, the tool is money, and you'll have exactly what you need for that tool to accurately be used. But it's our stories that get in the way of like, oh, I shouldn't do that, or I should, right? Like, and you're always gonna, like you said, the script's written. So if it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. Like if, you're meant to have a conversation with a certain person and your bank account says 0 and they message you back and say it costs $5,000 and you're meant to have that conversation, something's going to align, whether it's you come across $5,000 or they decide never mind or what, it's always going to align exactly as it's meant to. And so I don't know. I feel like we've unraveled it, but that's like, it's like this though. It's like,
the books that we've talked about. That's why we're in this space of the books that are coming through and resonating with us. Like you said, if every chapter you're reading in Theo of Golden is unwinding a kind of a new perspective or story, or especially you have your own stories around homelessness, which makes sense that particular part of the story would really speak to you. And I think there's many examples of that throughout that book. So I look forward to continuing to read it and see what unfolds.
Yeah, we'll have to have another conversation. And the interesting piece is the homeless, like literally we are homeless. If you look at homeless being not in ownership of a home, right?
Well,
or
if
like
that's your definition.
Right. If that would be the definition to someone, or your own sanctuary that you're not paying for with money, right? Because I think a lot of times we think that, then technically we are homeless because we're doing house sitters. So that's just like a whole nother layer.
It is
of that. Because there's plenty of people in our life that view it as that.
And I was just going to say that last year in my class, there was another woman in my program, and she would say, "Oh, Julie, you and I are homeless because we both sold our houses and like don't have storage and that kind of thing." And I reacted to that. I was like, I'm not homeless. What do you mean I'm not home? I'm like, I have a million places I can live, but it just goes back to what is my definition? What's my story about? Am I homeless? What does that mean? But she said it all the time. Oh, we're homeless. And so it goes back to whether something, really bothers you or not. And the fact that it bothers me told me something.
Yeah. Purple hair. Yeah. And like we got our bracelets in Bonaire that said home. And for me, that symbolized like where the journey I'm on is remembering that home is within. Home is a space for me that is with the love, the God, connection, God, everything. And so it doesn't matter what it looks like at form. And I think that has helped me come more and more into being okay with going to certain places that I used to call home and leaving and not feeling sad, but feeling, always same, but different. So, feel like we could have so many, well, we'll have so many more conversations. I for sure want to do another call when we finish Theo of Golden, because
I was gonna say, and thank you for joining our book club today.
Yeah, like this would be, I mean, maybe we need to start like some sort of book club. If anybody's listening and you want to do a book club,
I know.
Julie's already got one going in Oxford. I don't know if we can be a part of that.
No, I know.
We could all fly there. We just need a private jet.
Yeah, talking about the books. I mean, I have another book story, but we'll leave it for another time. Like, it's been a theme for sure. I have two other book stories of a book that came to me through a friend, and then a book that came to me just the other day. And I'm like, whoa, they're flying in. The books are flying in. So I love it.
And even like last year, the Bees book got brought up because of the Oxford. And that was like how I got restarted reading. It wasn't her Bees book. It was the Dolphin book that she wrote. And then it led to the Bees. And then you got to go see her in person. I was like, oh my God, Julie, that's a book. Like, it's like David and his community. Well, and I believe in movies too. Like, you can heal through witnessing. You can heal through watching. You can heal through reading. And I feel like what you're ready to heal is going to come through in whatever avenue it is, whether it's you're on Netflix and that show comes through, or you're listening to a podcast and that story comes through, or you're reading a book. Like, it's always, I mean, everything is always working for the good. Everything is always happening for our unwinding. So that doesn't eliminate all forms of media.
Oh, no, definitely.
Right. So, oh, Julie, thank you so much for coming on again. And thank you so much for listening to the nudges for these books, like this Theo of Golden. I'm just like, can't wait to get off. I mean, not get off like because I want to be done, but like that's my next venture is to go read some more. Yeah, I was going to ride the Peloton, but I'm like, I don't know if me and the Peloton are going to meet today. Instead, it just might be me hanging out with Theo.
Yeah.
Which is,
definitely.
Any last thoughts you want to share?
No, I appreciate it. Earlier today, I was like, what a beautiful day. It's 60 degrees and sunny in Oxford, and
the sun's coming out here too.
And I get to have a conversation with Ashley. What a beautiful day.
Oh, I know. I love our conversations. And I feel like when we were in Bonaire, we got so spoiled, like playing cards. If anybody knows, I'm sure there's online phase 10, but is it going to be the same? So if anyone listening in knows of like,
is it as fun?
Do they have like the ability, kind of like the video games where you can see each other and then you're still playing? Like, I wonder
you want to be like on Zoom, but also have the cards on the screen. You'd have to, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I did briefly, and there was some kind of a card. There is a card playing thing, but I don't know if it has the Zoom aspect. I would think so. I would think so, but
I would hope
we'll have to see.
We'll look more.
We'll have to see.
All right. Well, so much love. Thank you so much for coming and having a conversation that the world can listen to.
Yeah.
And next time, anybody tuning in, just be prepared. Go read Theo of Golden because it will for sure be a spoiler, like the whole thing, because we're gonna just unpack
like what spoke to basically like a book club conversation.
Like a book. Yeah, and maybe one day it'll be with Alan. We don't know, but that would be amazing. We would love that. If you're listening, Alan, we would love to speak with you about your amazing book.
That's right.
Well, thank you for tuning in and thank you for joining, Julie, and so much love, everyone.